Yeah. So how old's the kid?
7. He's 7 years old, and poor little guy. I mean, I can kind of see why he's being bullied. I hate to say that, but
Sure.
it's rough, right? And it's been really tough for him. So we had a really good sit down, myself, his family, my parents, and him. They had lots of questions, lots of insight.
What are their concerns?
Their biggest concerns were, how can we do it in a preferably non-physical way to start?
Sure.
Because they worry about the ramifications, right? You talk about this, the school saying the zero tolerance for bullying, and that's absolute bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Your kid can get the shit kicked out of him, but heaven fucking forbid you do anything back.
Right.
So that was kind of,
from my experience, it's like any resistance. It's like if you fight back, it doesn't matter who started it, who did what, you both are getting in trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Which sends the wrong message. It's easy to do it from an administration standpoint because you don't have to fucking, decide anything. It's just, okay, yeah, both done, which is the wrong message because there's a right and a wrong. There's right and wrong. And there's a time you defend yourself and use force. And that's a harsh reality that, a lot of these kids don't know how to handle. So anyway, as a parent, their concern is not really, is the fact that they're concerned more with my kid getting in trouble, not so much.
Is he going to get hurt?
Is he going to get hurt, or is he going to get, psychological damage? What's being done to him, right? There's people like there's trade-offs with everything, right? So
exactly.
It's like, look, you want to have less psychological damage. Okay. Then he's, you got to risk him getting in trouble for standing up for himself, which is a shame, but yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, but I mean, he felt pretty positive. The parents felt pretty positive. So we're going to start with a once a week session for the next little bit, like half an hour at a time, and just kind of, build up his confidence within himself. Start with some hopeful, body language, not to look like a little fucking,
right.
Little victim because he looks like a little victim. I get it. This shit's been going on apparently for the last 3 fucking years. So, yeah.
Kids are brutal. I mean, girls are even worse, but it's like, they said like kids get picked on because it's the same shit why criminals choose victims, right? It's like they can impose their will over them and they can get away with it.
Exactly.
Right? It's not like it's not like they're picking on the star athlete, or the grade.
Yeah.
Now have the parents tried to, what has the school done about it?
Absolutely nothing. So the parents have, for the last few years, gone to the school multiple times, and it's, the same old story. We'll look into it. We'll talk to the other kid's parents. We'll talk to the other kid, that kind of thing. But it never goes any further than that.
So they report it. Now, how did the parents know that he was being bullied?
Oh, they saw it.
What did they see?
Yeah, coming off the school bus is where it originally started. The kid is basically a neighbor. He's like right around the corner from them.
Okay. And so he was getting physical. They was taunting them.
It started with taunting and pushing, and then got even more physical. And again, they're like really, really young, right? But I mean, those little kids do hit each other. They hit each other pretty good.
Well, this is the age they should be taught right from wrong. And how to stick up for themselves, because no one's really going to get really hurt. They'll get bumped and bruised.
Yeah. But now, see, the problem is now it's turning into that pack mentality. Like it just started with that other one kid, right? But now all the rest of the wolves are fucking joining in.
Okay, so did the parents, do they have a relationship? I mean, do they know, since they're neighbors, have they tried to talk to the other parents?
They've tried talking to the other parents, and the other parents have just basically been like, well, we'll deal with it.
Right. I mean,
and that's it. And it's never dealt with. Right?
Well, I mean, the parents could say, stop doing that. And the kids just be like, fuck you.
Well, and that's pretty much what I think is happening.
Right. I mean, you can't, until you're, again, you're trying to get your kid to do something that he wants to do, and you don't want him to. And like, there's a chance they're just gonna freaking do it. I mean, that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, parenting is like kind of like this. You're like kind of bluffing, kind of not. The best advice I ever gave one of my friends, I'm like, figure out what they care about most and leverage it against them.
Yeah.
So as soon as my kids were like, whatever electronic or toy they were into, I'm like, dude, if you do that, I'm just taking that away.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I mean, if the parents, like, did they, because here's the thing, it's like, okay, we have a conversation as parents, right? And then if it continues, I got to be like, hey, just to let you know, it's still going on. Right. So at least if you're giving the parent of the kid who's bullying the feedback, they can do something about it. But then if it continues, you need to bring the school in, and the school's like, we'll look into it. It's like, we're here.
Well, and this is it. And I mean, the parents of this little one, they just feel like nobody gives a fuck, right? Nobody cares. It's not their problem, right? It's, it's the kid's problem. It's parents' problem.
Yeah. I mean, I was just reading an article from a couple of years ago for a poor girl, 16 years old up here in North Jersey, wound up getting bullied to the point where she just, she freaking killed herself like a week into school. And she was like a cute, athletic kid. And you're like, holy shit, and the parents went repeatedly to the school. School did nothing. They're suing the school board. Now, I mean, we have all these policies in place, yet we don't have any action behind them, which is really, when you look at every anti-violence crime policy that you have, it's a lot of saber rattling, but no real action.
Exactly.
I just, you're like, yeah, the notion behind it is great. Yeah. Let's stop these kids from bullying these other kids. Let's help these kids. Let's do something about it. We're not going to tolerate it. We're not going to. Okay, great. It happens. Still happens.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing. We've all gone through it. I remember going to school when I was in like kindergarten. And there were kids like a few years older than me. I had my brother and sister who were like 4 and 6 years older than me, but kids in their grade, little younger, that were like terrorizing us.
Yeah.
And I remember like, some days like, not feeling well.
Yeah.
And staying home until I was like, something was like, I got to deal with this shit because I can't stay home,
Yeah.
And it's scary to go out and face that person, but then when you do, you feel fucking amazing.
Oh, 100%.
And then that's when I started to like not tolerate it of, if I saw it, I would say something, to like somebody who's blowing somebody else, but cut the shit.
Yeah.
And granted, nobody's perfect, but it's like, this is how we, this is how, we grow and we learn as people. It's our job to test and overstep our bounds and to get in a little fuckery from here in.
Yeah.
So, while we're worried about like the kid who's getting bullied, I'm like, yeah, by not doing anything, we're not helping the kid who's bullying either.
Exactly. And all the other ones who think it's okay as well.
Right. And you know what? Most of them are like, thank God it's not me being bullied.
Yeah.
That are jumping in and doing it. So, you got a 7-year-old kid. I mean, does he have, I don't know how much you got into it. Did the parents say, does he have friends?
We didn't really get into all of that, but I mean, I'm going to assume that if he does, they're not very many.
Right.
you
Right.
know, and try not to judge the kid, but there's certain things that you can tell right off the hop about people. He's very, very introverted, like very introverted.
Right.
Spends all his time at home. So my guess is he probably doesn't really associate much. He is pretty heavy into games, like video games and shit.
Okay. Now you're going to give him like little like workout to do, even if it's like push-ups and sit-ups and
yeah. The plan right now is just to start to kind of build his confidence first.
Yeah. One of the things
Right.
you like to do, just because, people listen the first time, it's like, giving them like, okay, you're going to do like, push-ups, squats, something to get rid of, because the anxiety that people feel, it's fight or flight. So he's stressed and he doesn't know what to do. Right. So that's where people, at that point, I'm like, you need to do like something physical to get it out of your system.
Yes.
So, that's where, you do the physical shit. You're like, okay, train with me. And then, every day I want you to do 20 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, 20 squats, whatever.
Yeah.
And then do them. Okay, great. Next week we'll do, was it easy? Good. Do 25, shit like that. Right.
Yep.
Just so he can transfer whenever he's feeling whenever he's feeling that anxiety, transfer it into actual training.
Yes.
And this is, I do this every day. What curbs my anxiety is I work out every fucking day.
Yeah.
So, whatever you're feeling anxious, whatever you're doing, fucking get out, run, lift, go do something. Like I like running as a stress relief because you're just out and it's like you're literally like running towards or away from something. It's like the physical act of just doing that. Again, and now he's starting to at least do something right where he's like building up, getting stronger and getting confidence. And he's
also able to talk about it too, because there's certain things that I'm sure he doesn't feel comfortable or doesn't want to talk to his parents about at this point, that I can get him to kind of open up a little bit to me. So
right. Well, he's got no baggage with you.
Yeah.
That's where, everything else comes, because he knows you're not going to call the other kid's parents, right? Exactly. He knows you're not going to call the school. He knows like there's not going to be a whole bunch of shit, attached to it. And hey, okay, but it's rough. And it's like a lot of, and this is what, trying to give these kids these skills to, especially if you're like not like I was a bigger physical kid growing up, so it was mostly like not so much the kids in my grade, but older kids. But it's like, at least I had an outlet and I had a family that was, my grandfather used to teach boxing. My brother then started wrestling. Then I started wrestling. We all played football. We all did shit that where physical contact wasn't a big deal. It was just kind of what you did.
Yeah.
So a lot of these kids don't have that outlet. They don't have a proclivity to it, but, plus you're on top of it. You got people that are telling them, don't fight back. You'll get in trouble.
Yep.
And now it's like, all right, what do I do? Because I have this feeling in me that's telling me I need to do something. I need to fight back.
Yeah.
There's a threat here. I'm scared. My natural instinct is to do something physical. And now it's manifesting in, what we're seeing in the escalation of violence, with these kids. They just don't, add that to, kids. I would imagine, the one thing most active shooters, if not all, have in common is that they were all bullied.
Yes.
All bullied, right? They don't have the tools to deal with it. Then they're exposed to, violent media, all these things like, hey, I can fix this. I can take care of this, with a gun.
Exactly.
So, the conflict resolution and the dealing with violence is something that's very real. We can't avoid pain. You can't avoid work. and you can't avoid uncertainty. I mean, these are the three things. There's a great Jonah Hill just did a special on Netflix, which I thought was excellent. This guy Stutz, it's his therapist. And he just did like an hour or so documentary with his therapist. Excellent. I thought the guy was really powerful. Again, I've been in sessions with psychiatrists, like through either what was going on in let's just say with one of my siblings. And then when Angela and I lost our second child at like 6 months, we, saw somebody. And I haven't had a lot of experience with therapy, but I've been to the ones that just sit there and are like, okay, what do and let you try to figure this shit out.
That's right. So what do you think that means? Say, fuck you.
Fuck you, dude. That's what I'm here for.
Right.
And I've also been to the people who have been like, okay, this is what I want you to work on. And it's the ones that give you shit to do that are worthwhile. I mean,
yeah.
The ones that are just like, oh, let them come to no conclusion, shit like that. Because then I'm like talking to my friends and then I'm getting their advice and they're telling me what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
Right. So you gotta find that. I said, like, I don't have a lot of experience with it. But the second, the one that Angela and I went to, she was really good. Told me why things were happening and how I was processing things. Even something as simple as like getting upset or having somebody upset you. It's not their fault. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can, you can say whatever you want to me, whether I internalize it, and I'm like, and I get fucking angry at you. That's fucking on me.
Exactly.
If you attack me, I mean, look, then if I think you're an asshole, then I'm just not going to fucking interact with you. Right. If we have to get something done, I'm going to look past bullshit and just like, okay, we need to get this done. That's it. Right. So the rest of the shit, unless you physically attack me, it's like, it doesn't, it's not affecting me. It's not affecting me. So, yeah, I mean, man, I feel bad for the kid, but hopefully it's an opportunity for him to come out a better person.
100%.
I mean, that's when you look at shit happens to everybody. And you've got to look at it like an opportunity to get better and to understand how to cope, because everybody's going through shit. Everybody don't give a shit who you are. Bill Gates gets a divorce.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's everybody. So yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Keep us up to date on that for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. Good shit. All right.